What did I just watch tonight by this LSU football team? I don't know what to say, man. Fifth straight year losing the first game of the season. That's tough. That's tough. Um, there's so many reasons you could say that LSU lost tonight. You could say it was the defense. I don't think I even need to get into that. Secondary was they kept getting burnt almost every play they were out there. They looked kind of solid in the third quarter, but I mean, end of the day, they didn't do enough. Um, I'm more so, I'm not upset at all. I mean, I kind of saw this coming. People didn't believe me, but I had a bad feeling, and this is what happened. Um, I pointed to abandoning the passing game in the second half. They totally abandoned it. I mean, if you look at his stats here, if you look at Nussmeier's stats right here, you see he went 29 of 38 for 304 yards and had two touchdowns. It didn't feel like he threw 38 times. In the first half, he was really accurate. He was hitting almost all his passes, and then once he had that touchdown to Lacey in the second quarter, I think, they just totally abandoned the pass. They ran it almost every play in the second half. John Emery did not do bad. 61 yards on 10 carries. Had a 39-yard carry that led to a scoring drive to Aaron Anderson, I believe. But the offensive play calling by Joe Sloan and the co-offensive coordinator and Cortez Hankton, they did not do a good job tonight. They did not call a good game tonight. And do not sit up here and blame Garrett Nussmeier for this loss. Yeah, there's plays where he could have made, but don't blame it on him. Do not blame this game on Garrett Nussmeier at all. It's not his fault. It's not his fault. His offensive coordinators put him in that position to, they just put him in a bad position. They didn't call the right plays they needed to play. They didn't use his strengths to his ability. They didn't use his strengths at all. They did not push the ball down the field. They had a lot of dump off passes to Mason Taylor. He got involved early, and then in the second half, he kind of disappeared. It was a bunch of 3 and outs in the third and fourth quarter, and then just the defense. I don't know. They dropped 2 picks that were tipped up in the air, and yeah. And I'm hearing from some LSU fans. I've checked comments on LSU football plays or whatever. Any of the fan pages you see, they're saying the season's over. I'm saying the season's over. Season's not over, but you kind of know what to expect now in the third year with Brian Kelly. Um, you've seen in his first year his reaction to missing that extra point down in NOLA against Florida State in Week 1, 2022, his first season. And then 2023, the last year, getting destroyed by FSU. Just had the same look on his face. And then tonight against Southern Cal, the look on his face. Sad. It's sad because there's so much offensive talent. Garrett Nussmeier, Kyron Lacey, Harold Perkins, who he's not being used right. If we're being honest, he's not being used right at all. Putting him in coverage is not where I would go. I would put him on the edge. And they did that a few times, and he did decent, but the defense, they just could not. There were so many missed opportunities on offense that it made it hard on the defense at the same time. It's just so many things to point at, so many things to be frustrated about. But I mean, it's the first game of the season. My full faith is in Garrett Nussmeier. I lost faith in Jaden Daniels last season after the FSU game. And I was like, we need to start Nussmeier because I don't think Jaden Daniels is the answer. And he went out there and just had a Heisman season with a garbage defense. And I'm hoping Nussmeier can just, get better. And he's going to get better, you know. Don't blame him for this loss. Do not blame him. It's not his fault. You could point to throws he missed, but can't run it on first and second down, and then just totally abandon the pass in the second half. You can't do it. Can't do it and expect to win football games like this. But we're gonna look at some stats real quick. From the game. Before I do that, though, I'm going to just talk about USC first. Their defense has improved. Their defense held a SEC team, a quality SEC team, to 20 points. I don't care how many yards they gave up or any of that stuff. They still held an SEC team like LSU to 20 points, and I have to give them credit for that. But Miller Moss may be the answer in Southern California right now. That drive he had in the final minute and a half, that's how you hoop, man. That's how you hoop. But we're just going to read off some stats for USC first. Miller Moss was 27 of 36 at 376 yards and a touchdown, averaged around 10.5 yards in completion. He was averaging a first down almost every completion. That's the lead. Woody Marks, who ran in that game-winning touchdown, had 16 carries for 68 yards and had 2 touchdowns. I believe he had that first touchdown, if I'm not mistaken. Leave it in the comments below if I was wrong. I'll go back and check. But he did a pretty good, solid job on the ground. Quentin Joyner had 4 carries for 12 yards, and they had 69 yards total rushing. But, I mean, you could say LSU held them, but, I mean, it's the LSU defense. I mean, what do you really expect? Kyron Hudson, who had that crazy one-handed catch that a lot of people were saying he dropped. I think he caught it. Had 5 for 83 and had that big catch to set USC in field goal range before that targeting by number 2 of LSU. Really good game from him. Zachariah Branch was absolutely disgusting in the punt return game and receiving wise. So he had 4 for 56. He didn't have a touchdown. Lake McRee, the tight end, I believe, he had 5 for 56. He made a lot of big-time catches tonight. That's how you hoop. Jacoby Lane, he's a wide receiver, had 3 for 50 yards and had that touchdown catch where LSU jumps off sides and there's blown coverage anyways, and he just went up there and got it for the touchdown. But yeah, we're going to go to LSU. So Garrett Nussmeier, as I said, was 29 of 38, 304 yards. Had 2 touchdowns, had a bad interception with like 5 seconds left. Threw it right to him. You can't make those mistakes, Nuss. It's all right. Get better. John Emery had 10 carries for 61 yards. No touchdowns. Had a 39-yard run that set LSU up for a touchdown. Josh Williams. Why are you still in college, man? 9 carries for 33 yards, averaged 3.7 yards a carry. He wasn't going anywhere. He was getting pushed back every play that I watched. Caleb Jackson, 6 for 18. Got to be better, man. And then Xavier Thomas had a 1 jet sweep for 5 yards. Kyron Lacey disappeared in the second half. I don't know what happened to him. Had that touchdown catch in the second quarter. Had 7 for 94 in the touchdown. And then Aaron Anderson had that touchdown in the third quarter. Had 5 for 64. He made some plays in the touchdown. And then Mason Taylor, as I said, kind of disappeared in the second half, excuse me. had 7 for 62, and Nussmeier was really exclusively throwing it to him and Kyron Lacey at the same time. Pimpton, I don't know how to pronounce his first name, so I'm just going to say Pimpton had 1 for 14. John Emery had 1 catch for 10 yards. Caleb Jackson had 1 catch for 9 yards. Kyle Parker had 1 catch for 6 yards. And Josh Williams had 1 catch for 3 yards. Defensively, Terrell Perkins had led the team in total tackles. He had 8. He had 1 solo tackle. He had half a TFL, half a tackle for loss. Major Burns. Major ain't burning nothing around here. He ain't burning nothing in BR. I can tell you that. He ain't burning nothing. Had 6 tackles for 3. He had 6 total tackles, 3 solo, and no tackles for loss. I know he just stinks it up every single game he plays in. Oh man, okay. You had Whit Weeks with 6 tackles. He had 6 total tackles. He had 3 solo and 1.5 tackles for loss. He looked really good. He really impressed me. Jordan Allen, 6 total tackles, 3 solo. Savion Jones, who had a really good impact. I think he did really solid tonight. Had 5 tackles, 4 solo, and 2 sacks. He really did a good job on that LSU defense line. And then you got a bunch of players who just got to tackle. But yeah. So those are some of the stats. But I'm going to point out another thing. LSU was very undisciplined tonight. Absolutely undisciplined. It gave me flashbacks to the Les Miles days of how undisciplined this team was. Absolutely undisciplined. You had Kyron Lacey throwing up the gun pose, the John Morant gun pose. If you know, you know. Against USC. Can't do that. Can't do that. Major Burns, of all people, taking his helmet off. And celebrating. Major Burns ain't burning nothing. He's getting burnt. I'll say that. He's getting burnt. Him and Sage Ryan are getting burnt. Major ain't burning nothing. So let me just go out there and say that. Major ain't burning nothing. Will Campbell, the star offensive tackle, man, can't have false starts like that. You are too experienced and too good to have those type of penalties in the game. So I was kind of disappointed in him tonight too. It's just stuff that you can't have that happened tonight. Just undisciplined. Just making bad decisions. It just, for a team with so much talent and so much potential, to just lose like this. And you've done it 5 years in a row. I'm like really convinced the 2019 team was a curse. They cursed the rest of the last 5 years. But you know what? I'm not even mad. Because I told people I had a bad feeling. I knew Nussmeier was going to kind of show out, but I kind of knew what to expect from the defense a little bit. I didn't expect it to be 17-13 at the end of the third quarter. I didn't expect that. I didn't expect USC to play really good defense like that, but they improved on defense. They did. And I got to give them credit where it's due. I'm not going to just sit here and say, oh, they got lucky. But they were the better team tonight. They showed it. They executed. And when you abandon the passing game in the second half and you run the ball on first and second down, there's only so much you can do. But I will say, LSU fans, don't lose faith. Do not lose faith. This team is obviously still still good. We have a worse record than Vanderbilt right now. I'll say that. We didn't play as bad as Texas A&M did against Notre Dame yesterday. If you know, you know. We didn't play bad as Florida did. So you can't be too mad. But it's week 1. Got 11 more weeks, man. So I'm gonna just read off who they have left on their schedule. I'm gonna go to my phone here. So next week they got Nicholls. That should be an easy win. It's Nicholls. South Carolina, bottom feeders of the SEC. That should be a win. You should beat Nicholls, South Carolina, and UCLA. If they don't win that game, I swear to God, I'm going to crash out. UCLA. They lost to UCLA like 3 years ago. Week 1, I believe. Beat them. 3 wins you should have. You should be 3-1. South Alabama should be a dub. So you're going into Ole Miss. You're going into the bye against Ole Miss. 4-1. There's no reason why you shouldn't be 4-1 by the time we're playing Ole Miss. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough against Ole Miss. That is going to be a tough game. You know, you can say whatever they want. Oh, they put 76 on Furman. 76 points. Jackson Dart looked fire. And maybe a cupcake game, a quote-unquote cupcake game is what LSU needed. But who am I to say? They should be 4-1 by the bye in the next 6 weeks. They should be 4-1. Do I think they can beat Ole Miss how they play tonight? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But if they can improve the offense, which that's going to happen, the offense is going to get better. They can be a 9-win team at least. I don't see them getting any better than that. If this defense can't stand up and improve, which I don't really see them, they're only going to win 9 games this season. So, and that's not bad, but it's been proven that Brian Kelly can't win the big games. He hasn't won the big game since 2022, and that was against Alabama. And that was really only because that was one of their weakest teams. The last 2 years that Nick Saban were there were Alabama's weakest teams. Their weakest teams. We'll see how they are with Kalen DeBoer, though. It should be pretty solid, but we got lucky in 2022. They had no business being in that championship game against Georgia, but who am I to say? Still made it there. You know, Jaden Daniels, we didn't see his full potential yet, and then we saw last year. But I'm gonna go on a few things, and then I'm in the video. 4th and goal. I'm going to go back. 4th and goal at the beginning of the game. So as you know, LSU started off very fast. They started off very fast. And what I mean by fast is they were completing passes. They were getting first downs. They went for it once on 4th down and 3, 4th down and 2, something like that. On the first drive, and they got inside, USC territory. And so I was like, oh, okay, bet. This is how the offense is supposed to look. I wasn't worried about it. And then, I can't remember the sequence exactly, but all I know is that it was 4th and goal. And Kelly said, hey, we're going to leave the offense out there. And at first I was like, okay, bet. Let's go for it. I like to take risk, I don't want to kick no field goals. Didn't score anything. Nussmeier ended up being blitzed, and he had to throw the ball away, and it was a waste of a drive. That's a situation where it's like, if you take the 3, I won't be mad, but I won't be happy. But like, again, does it really matter what I think? Doesn't really matter what I think. You got to go for three there. You got to get something. And they did the same exact thing last season. If you go back and you watch the beginning of that Florida State game, they got the ball first. And they drove down the field, I want to say, and they were in the same exact position. Same exact position. And they stalled. And, they just could not really get an offensive rhythm going tonight. And hopefully that's not a problem, and I hope it's not, because this is my team. This is always going to be my team. But you're going to have a bunch of fans crash out this season over this team. The defense, it's the players. I mean, Matt House was terrible, but the players, the secondary. I'm gonna say this: if you're a New Orleans Saints fan, if you're a New Orleans Saints fan from 2014 to 2016, you are entitled to emotional compensation for how bad those secondaries were. That's how LSU secondary has been the last 2 seasons. It's been terrible. It's been terrible. Can't make tackles where they need to be tackles. They're not disciplined. But it is what it is. Now, I saw this Instagram post before I turned on the camera. I'm gonna just read it. It says LSU head coach Brian Kelly is angry at his team after tonight's big loss. It's the first time I've been here, quote unquote, from Brian Kelly, that I've been here at LSU that I'm angry with my football team. Well, sir, you're the head coach. You're supposed to hold them accountable. You can't let these things happen. You got to hold your team accountable. You're the one who didn't call timeouts in the fourth quarter with a minute left. You should have. That's me. You should have called those timeouts to give the defense a rest. They were very soft. This defense is soft as Charmin toilet paper. That's how soft they were. They didn't try to get any pressure on Miller Moss or that Southern Cal offensive line at all. I should have known by the fake Louisiana accent this was going to happen. But who am I to say? This is your 2024 LSU Fighting Tigers football team. But okay, those are my final thoughts on tonight's game against USC. Got to get better. That's all I can say. And we'll just have to see how this season goes. So what I want you to do is, like this video, subscribe. I'm going to try to get more videos out consistently. I'm going to try to post a little bit more. But yeah, these are my thoughts on tonight's game against Southern Cal and LSU. LSU loses by a score 27-20, as you can see up here. They go to 0-1 on the season. But there's 11 games for a reason, so just got to stay hopeful. But all right, guys.